What's up, First Thing First listeners? It's your boy Shay Sharp, co-host of FS1's Undisputed. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay Shay, where we always do something before two something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now, back to First Things First.
First things first, who's in more need of a title this year for their legacy, LeBron or Brady? Jared Goff taking a parting shot at the Rams after this weekend's blockbuster trade. And does Matthew Stafford make LA instant Super Bowl contenders for next season?
Whoa,
Super Bowl,
what?
Guys. Good Monday morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolfe alongside Nick Wright, Brandon Marshall, Kevin Wilds. Nick, who won the big trade from this weekend?
Whoa.
Oh, the Nets, I think. I think they added a defensive stopper. He just hasn't shown up yet.
Okay.
I think they won the trade. Oh, we're doing the football trade. Oh, my bad.
That's not the,
my bad.
Hey,
that's not
Nick's
the question.
right. Anytime the worst
My
team in
bad.
the league takes out the team, some have winning it all. Let's do it. Nets and Wizards.
Oh, no.
Wizards down 5. 7 seconds left. Here we go. Bradley Beal cuts it to 2. Then Russ off the inbounds. The steal, that's a 3. That gives Washington the lead. Just an absolutely unbelievable sequence here. Shades of who? Reggie Miller. But wait, one last chance for Brooklyn.
Get it to KD.
Get it up. No, can't do that. Rolls off the rim and out. Washington wins. Nets lose. Here is Kevin Durant on yet another defensive collapse for the Brooklyn Nets.
I think we'll continue to keep getting better, man. I mean, it's a tough one. We gave up 149 points, 108 shots for them. It's not looking great for us defensively, giving up that many points. But I got faith in our team and our guys, and, we're going to start to put it together on both sides of the ball and, continue to keep growing, man. That's all we can do.
Down the stretch, we had that game. It should have been ours. So, we just look at ourselves in the mirror and just see where we can correct as individuals and as a group, just especially on the effort. I couldn't guard a stick today. Those guys were just going right around me, and, I was getting frustrated a little bit, but they kept attacking, and that's what good teams do and good scorers do. So.
All right, Nick. Nick wildly entertained from this one. Did last night show you the Nets cannot be considered title contenders? Nick Wright?
Yikes. This is a tough one, ladies and gentlemen, because Adam Silver's had to do a lot of, chicanery, machinations, things to try to make this season work. But the one thing the Nets have requested, filed a petition, and asked him to do, he refuses to. And that is officially make it a make-it-take-it league. Because the make-it-take-it Nets might be the best team I've ever seen. But unless that adjustment comes, we might be in a little trouble, boys and girls. 149 is bad. 149 to the, at the time, 3-win Wizards is horribly bad. But what if I told you, Brandon? It actually was worse than that. Because in the fourth quarter, they allowed 48. That's a pace of 196 points. And in the final 6 minutes of the fourth quarter, 5.5 to be exact, they allowed 30. That's a 261-point pace. The Nets are setting new standards for defensive incompetence, and everyone on the team knows it. Now, luckily, Brandon, they have defensive stalwarts Steve Nash and Mike D'Antoni to look to fix this problem. So I'm sure they'll get it right, and I hear Iman Shumpert's coming through the door. So I think they'll be good. But right now, Brandon, Brandon's doing a pantomime of the Nets' defense last night. That was their defensive effort. Falling asleep, letting people run past them. So, yeah, I think they're in trouble, man. I think they're in a little bit of trouble, Brandon.
Or are they sleepwalking through the regular season?
Wake me up in 6 weeks. That's what you need to do. That's when this season's going to start. That's when the NBA season really starts. There's only a handful of teams that really play from start to finish every single night. There's only a couple teams. LeBron James and the Lakers, they're just really good. They have the chemistry down. They have the guys. They're light years ahead. This James Harden trade happened 10 games ago. The big three been together for 4 games, Nick. So wake me up in mid-March and let's have the discussion about where this team is now. We know where we need to be. I talked to someone inside the Nets organization a couple weeks ago because I'm like, man, look, this Nick Wright guy keep talking about defense, defense, defense. And he said, look, Brandon, we know how to get to the conference finals. These guys know how to play enough defense to get there. They know how to play enough defense and play good defense to get to the finals. The question is, do they have enough to actually win it? So it's cool to hear Kyrie talk about, look, I played bad. We know where we need to be. Kevin Durant highlighting that. This isn't a team. This isn't a group of superstars like, look, we're just going to win on offense. They'll get it together. And I love what I'm seeing right now. I love the ball movement. That was a big question mark, Kevin. Will this team be able to share the basketball? And then also you got guys that's really doing it at a high level without KD, without Harden, and that's very, very good for the Brooklyn Nets. So, wow. Every time the Nets lose, I know we're going to have this discussion. I understand that. But please wake me up in mid-March.
Okay, I like it, Brandon. You know what? Your Brooklyn Nets jersey might be an extra small, but your heart is an extra large, my friend, because you're showing more faith than I think anyone else has. Nick, I think there's 3 problems with the Nets: pride, paint, and personnel. First one is the pride. Steve Nash said after the game, he's like, basically, we don't want it. The most important thing is individual pride, making every possession count and mean something. I think too many possessions for us didn't mean enough. So it's like, guys, just step up. It's just a pride thing and it's fixable. Second one is paint. The Wizards scored 72 in the paints. DeAndre Jordan of old is not walking through that door. The DeAndre Jordan of the present day is, and he's not that great. The third problem is personnel, and Nick, you mentioned it. Iman Shumpert, who, by the way, watch out, Dame Lillard. Iman Shumpert can rap better than anyone else in the league. Can also play a little bit of defense, but probably not the stopper. Norvell Pell is coming, international player. Had a little cup of coffee with the Sixers.
McGee.
He's going to be all right. And you know this one. There's reports that podcaster extraordinaire JJ Redick is also might join the Nets. Not great on defense, good for podcasting. Also lives in Brooklyn. And finally, Nick, I'm going to throw it to you here. TV. Sports analysis traffics in the extremes, and we're all guilty of it because that's what kind of moves the meter. You got to say this is the best ever, this is the worst ever, So you came on, you said this team is going to be the worst ever, and it's like, well, there goes Nick again with their hyperbole. Next thing you know, according to old StatMuse, the Nets defensive rating 119.9, worst in the league, and would be worst of all time. So here are your flowers, my friend. They're imaginary, but it was not hyperbole. You were just being literal that they would be the worst defensive team of all time.
Wow.
This is the problem with, and to be fair, I don't know if I quite said they'd be the worst defensive team of all time. What I said was, if they were to make the finals or win the championship, they would be far and away the worst champion defensively ever. But right now, Wild is right. Since the trade, they are just the worst anything defensively ever. Here's the problem. They don't need a minor tweak. They aren't an Iman Shumpert, an international guy I've never heard of, and a JaVale McGee away. They are, right now, the worst defensive team in the league. They need to improve on that end by leaps and bounds. And that, to me, is not possible. They do. You can't. Brandon.
So, Nick,
they
you
have
take a guy. So,
four
Nick,
times
you take
this.
a team.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Brandon.
You take a team, Nick.
Go ahead.
That's only played together, like the big three's only been together for 4 games, right? And we know what they can do offensively. Friday, they scored like 149 points. Last night, the same thing. So when you think about defense, you think about just the culture around the NBA. Guys don't play defense until the playoff time. There's only a handful of teams that actually do it. So when you think about these guys having what it takes to get the job done later on in the season, in the playoffs, in the championship, like that's more than enough. We know that it comes down to want to. This has nothing to do with ability. We're not asking for these guys to be a top 5 defense. We're just asking just to get a few stops, and that's want to, and that's attitude, and I think they'll be able to do that come mid-March.
Yeah, so a couple things. One is, even if I accept the premise that only a handful of teams really care about defense, then everyone is playing to that level, and with everyone playing somewhat lackadaisical on defense, the Nets are still the worst. That's first of all. Second of all, maybe if it was like, listen, the Nets are allowing 120 points per game, but they're locking down in the critical possessions in the fourth quarter, and that's showing you they could do it for a full 48. I'd buy it. But that's not the case. It's getting worse as the game gets to a more critical moment. And lastly, Kyrie can say, I couldn't guard a stick last night. Replace last night with since Duke. Like, Kyrie, it's not about want to. It's about ability.
And we're still sitting sitting second in the Eastern Conference. So, I mean, we're still right where we need to be.
Say it, Brandon. Miss me with that. You could say it. We're getting hyperbolic on a Monday morning here. To the NFL now and the fallout from the blockbuster Jared Goff, Matt Stafford trade. This you will want to hear. This is coming up next. This is First Things First. Hey, First Things First listeners, I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com, reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app right now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, as well as the televised version of this show, just a click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. So download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com. Rams reportedly trading Jared Goff to Detroit for Matt Stafford. LA had to include 2 future firsts just to get off of Goff's contract. But now you got a fresh start for both these guys, for Goff and for Stafford. Brandon, I'll start with you. Do the Rams now become instant Super Bowl contenders next season with Matt Stafford under center?
Yeah, Jenna, I think so. The Rams are in a win-now mode every single year. McVay has never had an opportunity to utilize the number 1 pick since Goff. That was the last time they had a first rounder. Yep. Now you move forward. The next time you'll be able to pick in the first rounder as of now is in 2024. So that tells you their attitude and their approach. They have everything they need to get the job done. Matthew Stafford, I wouldn't call him elite, because when you think about elite guys make everyone better and he just transformed their organization. He didn't do that in Detroit, but he has elite skills. This dude is still legit. I talked to Kenny Galladay last night, and I said, man, can this dude still get it done? And he said, absolutely. This dude is still a monster. He can make all the throws, and he's relatable, and he's a great leader. You cannot, if you're the Rams, waste what you have on that defensive side. We hear it all the time. Defense wins championships, Nick, and you have 2 of the best that is doing it at a high level right now in the National Football League. So you can't waste those guys. Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald on that side. Go get Matthew Stafford. Great job. Now go get it done and make your run.
So, Brandon, you always call me our resident GM, right? You always say you're a resident player, I'm the resident GM. The resident GM part of me has some reservations. Now, the analyst says they're better. They're without a doubt better. They were going to go into next season with the worst quarterback in their division. You can't do that. You now have, even if Stafford is just the 12th best quarterback in football. That's a massive upgrade from our friend Jared Goff, and it gives them a chance to compete. So I understand why you would make this move. But Les Snead is trying to run a football team in a different way than any team has ever been run in the history of the league.
Right.
Maybe it'll work, but it is risky. Here are 6 names: Stafford, Ramsey, Donald, Kupp, Woods, Whitworth. Those 6 players are $110 million of their cap next year. You then add Goff and Gurley's dead money, who aren't on the team. That's $30 million. So we're now at $140 million of a cap that's going to be about $180 for 6 guys. So you're going to have $40 million bucks for your other 45 players. That's tough. And it also leaves no margin for injury, and you can't recoup it with young talent in the draft because, as Brandon mentioned, they are going to go from Jared Goff in 2016 until 2024, 2 presidential terms, without a first-round pick. So it is a massive swing. I understand why they did it, because they thought they could not win with Goff, and Goff's contract was a disaster. But these swings catch up to you eventually, Wilds. He swung on Brandon Cooks, then ended up trading him away. You Todd Gurley, you pay him early, you cut him. Jared Goff, you pay him early, you trade him away. So I think they are better. I also think it is an incredibly risky way to run a franchise if you care at all about future you.
Yeah, so do you like it, Nick? That's my question, because I do. I think we see so many teams planning for the future. The Packers are planning for the future. The Patriots are always planning for the future, and it kind of bit us this year. So for me, if I'm Aaron Donald, if I'm Jalen Ramsey, I'm like, yeah, I like this kind of stars and everybody else concept. The problem is this. We saw Aaron Donald get some bruised ribs, and that was it. They were cooked. There is no sort of next man up philosophy. So me personally, I like it. Do you like the philosophy, Nick? Take your analytics resident GM brain out of it. And just like personally, do you like this team going all in?
I prefer this method, Brandon, than the teams that always say we can't do anything, we're hamstrung, we can't, or we're up against the cap.
Right.
I would prefer this extreme to the other extreme. But I do think there's an argument to be made that somewhere in the middle, not going nearly a decade without first-round picks and not having such a top-heavy roster, because Wilds is right. They can't sustain an injury, Brandon. They are at the top of the list of teams that cannot sustain an injury.
I think the biggest challenge is managing the cap, right? So everything you said there, you have 6, 7 guys, and that's where most of your money is going. So how do you continue to build depth? How do you continue to bring in younger players and that can develop them and that you want to keep around? But I absolutely love this as a player. Like, this draft pick, this first-round draft pick may not help us this year. So going out and getting an established quarterback, an established corner, an established wide receivers mean more. The Rams have the mentality that they're always going to be picking in the 20s, 22, 23, maybe hell, even 28 to 32. Because in 2018, they went to the Super Bowl. So what is that draft pick worth? So I love the attitude and approach of let's get away from these first-round picks that may not be able to do anything for us. Those first-round picks at the end of the draft, they're hit or miss. So going out and getting a veteran that's already established and can help you right now, I love it. I think this team is doing the right thing, and I think more people should follow suit.
The other thing that you said at the very beginning that I just want to revisit quickly is once we get past the trade, what this does turn into is something of a referendum on Matt Stafford. Has Matt Stafford been a good stats, bad team guy, or has he been a guy who the only reason he's on a bad team is because it's the Lions? It wasn't his fault. And if you put him with a good coach, McVay, I think it is, an organization that'll spend money, obviously the Rams are that, you're going to see what his career could have been. Because this is a big bet on a player who has precisely 0 wins that any of us remember. Now, I'm not saying it's his fault. I'm saying it's an unknown, but it's a big bet on a player without a track record of anything other than a lot of empty yards. So we'll see if that was about the Lions or about Stafford.
All right, we'll find out soon enough. Got to take a turn. Time now for Nick's NBA medals. Your boy Giannis had himself a weekend. Nick scored 38 against the Pelicans on Friday, 34 against Charlotte on Saturday. But Bucks lost both games, and thus, no medal for Yanni. Nick, who did earn medals, though?
Jenna's right. You can't lose to the Bobcats, the Hornets, and you can't let Cody Zeller dunk on you, so you're off the medal stand. Bronze medalist from a great weekend of basketball. Oh, Cupcake Russ. Oh, wait, I get to play KD? Oh, wait, we only have 4 wins on the year, but 2 of them are against Kevin Durant and the Nets? Give me that. 41-10-8, and the game winner last night for Russ. Silver medalist. How about this? Nikola Jokic. What a night for Nikola Jokic. 47 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists in a win over, at the time, the best and hottest team in basketball. A dominant performance by the Joker. And then the gold medalist. If you were watching Saturday night, Dame time. Back-to-back threes to turn a 5-point lead into 5-point deficit into a win for the Blazers against the Bulls. And that's just a vintage Dame Lillard shot. He gets the game winner. He gets the gold. There it is. That is a packed medal stand, Wilds. All 3 of those performances, absolutely, Jenna, could have been a gold medalist on most nights.
Well, give me someone that just missed it, Wilds. Give me someone that was right there.
A little bit of an emotional roller coaster for your buddy Kevin Wilds, who took pride in some laughter at Klay Thompson making fun of Magruder, but then it just went too far. It started to hurt my feelings. I started to root for Magruder because Draymond Draymond started dropping hammers unnecessarily.
Eviscerated him.
What's Magruder doing over there? There's a little scuffle happening.
What are you talking about, Juan?
And then everything seems to be okay there.
Oh, my God.
Clay's figuring out. What's going on over there, Clay?
Rodney Magruder.
Oh, no, this dude might be out the league soon. He's probably mad about that. Who knows?
Wow. Oh, man, there's too many tough guys in this league these days for me. But I know ain't nobody scared of no damn Rodney Magruder. Like, kidding me? It's crazy. Insane. But Clay said it best.
Magruder. Back to the NFL now. And why has Aaron Rodgers, why was he involved in this weekend's blockbuster quarterback trade? We'll tell you next. First things first.
Hey, First Things First listeners. It's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People's Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny, because these days we could all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you. Now, back to First Things First.
Next thing that's very important to me is that we build a smart football team, that we have a smart football team here. And I know we have the people in place to do that. The first part of being smart is knowing what to do. We're gonna have systems in place that are easier to learn. All right, complicated to the defense or offense that they're going against, or the special teams group that they're going against, but easy for us to learn. Because when we can when we can learn our system and we can get good at our system, then our talent can take over. Less thinking equals talent take over, but we need to have systems in place, and we will have systems in place to do so.
New Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni. Hey, guys, obviously he was nervous, very nervous. I bet he'd love to have that entire press conference back. His plan of attack for the Eagles this year. Hey, there's no one in my bedroom. Sometimes I get nervous doing this show. Brandon, Nick Sirianni's intro press conference was blank.
Woo! Jenna, bad start. Contradictory. Come on. He said he wanted to simplify things. I mean, he couldn't even simplify a simple press conference. I mean, Doug Peterson has to be somewhere just laughing, talking about, guys, y'all thought I was bad at these press conferences? Look at him.
Yes.
Man, and he wants to simplify offense and defense, cover 2, cover 8, 0. I mean, maybe he's better on the board and maybe he's better standing in front of guys, but this is not a hot start for the Philadelphia Eagles and Carson Wentz.
Listen, Brandon, in his defense, at least a big part of being an NFL head coach isn't talking to a group of people and inspiring them. I'm going to say it was perfectly timed. Perfectly timed for a couple of reasons. One is because it was on a Friday afternoon, so for some places this is going to go under the radar, and because it was 48 hours after you had Dan the Man Campbell talking about biting kneecaps, so I feel like, at least it wasn't that. But bonus take. I never again want to hear about why Eric Bieniemy or a different minority head coach is not getting a job because they don't interview well. Because I've now seen 2 of the 7 head coaches who were hired give press conferences that indicates to me they can't possibly have interviewed great. There's no chance in the world you give a nails interview and then that's your press conference. So I don't want to hear that nonsense anymore. Right. But it's good timing. At least it was on a Friday night, Wilds.
Yeah, so I'm going to give him a pass a little bit. And I said rough draft because he actually had to freestyle this. His original draft also was about biting kneecaps. And once he saw Dan Campbell do that, he's like, well, I can't do the biting kneecaps thing. So I'm going to say rough draft. It's unfair that Campbell took all the biting kneecap stuff because that was actually Sirianni's plan.
I disagree. I don't think we'll forget. We never forgot Adam Gase is sort of carried with him the entire tenure at the Jets. We head to Houston now, where Deshaun Watson's requested a trade and where new head coach David Culley hopes he was only kidding. Saying, quote, the reason I'm in this position today is because I know he's going to be a Houston Texan. I don't know. Hey, Brandon, David Culley's comments are blank.
Yeah, coach is supposed to say this. He's 65 years old. There's no way he was turning down this gig. So he's going to do everything in his power, publicly and behind the scenes, to get this guy in the building. But it's not going to happen. But nothing compares to the general manager, Nick Casario's comments. This is a problem. It's a huge problem for me. Listen to what he said here. We have zero interest in trading the player. We have a great plan, a great vision for him and for his team, for this team and his role on our team. We look forward to the opportunity to spend more time with him here this spring. First of all, there's going to be no spring for Deshaun Watson and the Texans. My issue is the player. This is the problem. You're calling him the player. On the field, it's fine. You can call him player number 4. You can call him QB number 1. You can call him whatever you want. But when there's no balls being snapped, this is a businessman. And this is his problem with this organization, is that you keep putting him in a place as a quarterback. There's times where he needs a seat at the table. Keep calling him a player, and you're going to continue to drive him out of town.
I think it's a great take, Brandon. My answer is David Culley's comments are missing a word. And I'll explain that in a moment. I want to say this on the front end. I'm rooting for David Culley. Paid his dues. Nobody has a bad word to say about him. And nobody has any idea if he's going to be a good or a bad head coach because he's never been a head coach before. So I am rooting for him. Yep. But if we're being honest here, the honest quote is, the reason I'm here is I know he's not going to be a Houston Texan. Because the reason the Texans end up hiring a 65-year-old first-time head coach is because all of the A1 candidates on their list passed because they know Deshaun Watson doesn't want to be there. So that, unfortunately for David Culley, he almost got the quote exactly right, but he's off by a word, Wilds.
Okay, so I went with check your feed. This story has been dripping through your social media feed, and it's just been manna from heaven for us sports analysts. So here's where we're at now. He has deleted all social media references to the Texans. And this follows up on reports he wanted a trade. Then Andre Johnson came out, and then he went to New York, and he made like a low-key diplomats video. Now social media's gone. Next step, Brandon, all the Texan stuff in the garbage that we see it on Instagram. Get this guy out. He doesn't want to be there.
All right, we got to head to Detroit now, where new quarterback Jared Goff said, quote, "I'm just excited to be somewhere that I know wants me and appreciates me." Wow, shots fired. Brandon, Goff's comments on being traded to the Lions are blank.
These are just comments, Jenna. It's time for this kid to stand up and show us who he really is, show himself who he really is. Look, like it or not, this guy has been to 2 Pro Bowls. This guy led his team to a Super Bowl in 2018. But every time he had a great game, every time he had a great season, Sean McVay was the one that got the credit. So now this is a huge opportunity for him to go to Detroit and show who he really is. This is a big season for him, because if it goes really well, then it's going to be like, oh, this guy can play in this league, and Sean McVay wasn't as big, played a big of a role that we thought he did in his career. But if he implodes, then this is a dude that could potentially be out of the league in the next 4 to 5 years, Nick. I don't think he has the bandwidth to become a backup. So this is a huge year for him. These are just comments. It's time for him to show us exactly who he is.
Yeah, to me, his comments are unappreciative. Listen, buddy, this team wanted you and appreciated you enough to trade up in the first round to get you, to then fire the head coach after your first year there because they blamed him for your failures, to then make you the highest paid player in NFL history temporarily. That shows a good deal of want and appreciation. You paid them back by being terrible for 2 seasons. So this idea that it's like, oh, woe is Jared Goff. He got the raw end of the deal by being in Los Angeles in that new stadium with all those weapons and with Sean McVay. Zip it. Like, that's nonsense. Right. So enjoy Detroit and Dan the Man Campbell. I'm sure they will unlock your talent that Sean McVay couldn't. I'm sure that's how that'll go.
Okay. All right, see, here, I think it's a missed opportunity. Because I feel like if he had a little bit of humor, he could have gained a lot of fans. If instead he said this, you know what? I'm hungry to prove myself. I'm hungry to bring some wins to the great city of Detroit.
I know where this is going.
And I am starving. I am hungry to bite some kneecaps. Take a listen. That would have worked.
We're going to get up, and on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off, all right? And we're going to stand up, and then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down. All right, and on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap, and we're going to get up, and then it's going to take 3 shots to get us down. And when we do, we're going to take another hunk out of you. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing. All right, that's going to be the mentality.
How did Goff possibly miss out on that one? And to Aaron Rodgers now. Report came out after the Goff-Stafford deal went down that the Rams actually made a run at Aaron Rodgers first, but the Packers had no interest. Hey, Brandon, the Rams reportedly making a run at A-Rod is blank.
Aggressive. Let's need Sean McVay. If there's a player out there that they believe can help them win now, they're going to go after him. They're in win now mode every single year. That's their attitude. That's their mentality. I absolutely love it. And there's no bigger fish to catch than Aaron Rodgers. They went after him, and they didn't get him. And I know that they didn't go out there with just chump change. They threw everything at the Packers. So that says a lot about the Rams, but it says a lot about Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers and how they're going to move forward, because there probably isn't a better deal that you could have gotten from any other team but the Rams.
Yeah, to me, this is due diligence. This is not about the Packers so much as it's about the Rams. I'm going to report right now. Take this, Jay Glazer. I'm beating you to it. The Rams reportedly made a run, or not reportedly, the Rams made a run at Deshaun Watson. You know how I know? I just know. Logic. Common sense. They did it. They traded 2 firsts and a third for Stafford. I'm sure they called about Deshaun Watson. If they thought the door was this much ajar for Aaron Rodgers to leave, of course they call about him. And given his comments and the fact that the Packers drafted Jordan Love a year ago, that door doesn't seem to be welded shut the way it is, for example, with Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes. So, of course, they make a call. The Packers then hang up the phone and say, no, Jared Goff's hands in the cold are going to shrink even more. Can't have him in Green Bay. So then they call Detroit. That's what happens. So, that's just due diligence, Wild.
The hands do not shrink in the cold. If anything, your hands expand in the cold with the frostbite.
Oh, well, then they should have made the trade.
No, I don't know.
Then they should have made the trade. If the hands get bigger, I didn't know that.
In any event,
they should have made the trade.
I went with speed dial, which I don't even know if it exists anymore. But if the Rams are calling the Packers, everybody's calling the Packers. And Brandon, I know you said you'd come out of retirement if Deshaun Watson went to the Jets, but the Jets also need to call the Packers. The Dolphins need to call the Packers. The Patriots need to call back. Everybody's got to call the Packers at this point. So it's on. Everybody should have Brian Gutekunst.
I like Deshaun
on speed dial.
Brandon
Aaron Rodgers.
2 phone lines.
Yeah, I like Deshaun over Aaron Rodgers. Yes.
Brandon Marshall.
I must mention Fox Super 6 has already given away nearly $4 million and not one, but 2 trucks. Download the Fox Super 6 app for free for your chance to win $250,000. All you got to do is pick 6 outcomes in the Super Bowl for top stories, scores, and so much more. You can always head to the Fox Sports app. Brandon Marshall, get in on it. We got to take a break. We're back right after this. LeBron James just won his 4th title in the bubble. Meanwhile, Tom Brady gearing up for his 10th Super Bowl as he continues to defy the laws of age at 43. Just like me, Tom. Looking and playing better than ever, age 43. Fellow half-goat, half-man LeBron James has taken notice of Brady's dominance at an advanced age. Take a listen to this.
Well, what it does, it lets me know and lets both of us know that we can still play this game at a high level, no matter how many miles, how many games, no matter how many doubters, no matter the statistics of, in our respective professions at our age, we can still dominate our sport. And also we can bring together groups that we may have not been around for a long period of time. It's just our professionalism, how we attack the sport, how we attack every single day of being a professional, of wanting to win every single day, in a practice, on the film, on the practice field, and in the games, so on and so on. So, we gravitate towards people and people gravitate towards us because we have one common goal, and that's to win and win at the highest level.
That's a big turtleneck. Hey, Nick, whose legacy would benefit more from another championship? LeBron or Brady?
All right, so I'm prepared for the backlash I'm going to get for this take because this is a take that will, in the moment, anger people, and in 10 to 15 years will be the conventional wisdom, and I'm okay with that.
Okay, here we go.
But the answer is clearly and obviously Tom Brady. And it is because no one is chasing LeBron. There is no current player in the league that anyone's like, you know what? I think that guy could be the greatest of all time. Player doesn't exist. I guess some people maybe would choose my large adult Slovenian son, Luka, but he's my son, and I don't even think he can be the greatest of all time. And LeBron, when it is all said and when he's finally done and we have the expansive history to look back at things, there is not going to be a real debate about who the most accomplished and most talented and greatest basketball player is. Brady, on the other hand, the guy who is chasing him is the guy who he's playing. So by beating Mahomes, he can almost permanently put the debate to bed, or by losing to Mahomes, it can be supercharged to the point to where people are wondering a year from now, when Patrick is going for his 3rd in a row, wait, is this already a debate? Is he already passing him? And so, if LeBron is not chasing, no one is chasing LeBron. Patrick is chasing Tom Brady. So obviously, Tom benefits more from a championship than LeBron James this year.
You see what he did here, right, Brandon?
LeBron, yeah, I see it, Jenna. Nick, you just did that with a straight face. You are genius. You are amazing.
Face.
You were built for television.
What?
Oh my goodness,
Dude, what are you guys
LeBron.
talking
LeBron is chasing MJ. LeBron is the one that has the most at stake here. 100%.
Wasted first-round picks,
just career cigars,
retirement.
Please. We're talking about
what's he chasing?
There's no debate when it comes to Tom Brady as the GOAT. We know that this is a quarterback-driven league, the NFL, and this dude is sitting here as the best quarterback ever to do it. So he is that guy. He has 6 Super Bowl rings on his hand right now. Patrick Mahomes has 1. This dude is 43. There's a lot of risk at stake. There's guys like, how do you keep your team together? Health is at stake. Like, guys can go down at any minute. So it's going to be harder for Mahomes to catch Mahomes to catch Brady than it is LeBron to catch MJ. This is the biggest debate in all of sports. It's who's the greatest of all time when it comes to basketball. Is it LeBron or is it MJ? So this dude is sitting here with 4 titles, MJ with 6. And we can get into all the comparisons all we want as far as from on the court and then biggest impact off the field, off the court. Sure. We can do that all day. But if this dude gets to 6 titles, LeBron James, then this is a real discussion of who is the greatest of all time. Right now, I don't think it's a clear-cut answer. You can't say LeBron because of how great MJ was on the court and the impact he made for the culture, Mike.
Tom Brady, he's already solidified. He's solidified with 6 rings, and anything after 6 is just him padding the stats. And that's what he's going to continue to do. I think what LeBron was trying to convey, Tom Brady is doing it at a high level at 43 years old. LeBron is in the mode where he's working smarter, not harder. Only 36, still got a lot of tread on the tires. And for him, if he want to achieve that GOAT status, because like Brandon said, he's chasing Jordan, then he has to win one more. He has to win 1 or 2 more. So, I think the reference is, I know where we at in our careers, but, obviously, it's more to obtain. But, to answer the question, I think LeBron, to get in that top tier, that top echelon, alongside of Jordan, has to win 1 more this year, and then get 1 more at another time, and that'll be 6. That's right. And then it'll be a different conversation. So as of right now, I think LeBron James understands what's at stake. Got to get that 5th ring.
Wow. Yeah, I think you're right, Mike. But Nick, oddly, I don't think you're totally wrong. I think you're like 60% right. Because we know LeBron has to chase Jordan, and we know it's count the rings culture, and I know you don't want to say it's count the rings culture, but we know it is. And you even admit it, that if he gets to 6, then all the Jordan fans are going to have a hard time. Like, well, he lost 4. It will still be much more difficult to argue Jordan if LeBron gets to 6. But I don't think Tom Brady can do anything to accelerate himself that far past Mahomes. Because eye test-wise, Mahomes does stuff that Brady can't do.
Everything.
So
he's better at everything.
Yeah, I don't think that Mahomes needs 6 rings. I don't think he needs 7 rings. If Mahomes gets more than 1, if he gets 2 or 3, I'm serious. I'm saying, look, I know it feels contradictory. But the eye test-wise, the stuff that Patrick Mahomes can do.
I agree, Wiles.
Feels it because it is.
It's true. Patrick Mahomes can do stuff Tom Brady can't do. Go ahead. I know it's confusing.
So that's a very fascinating theory.
Hey, Wiles, I know where you're going with it. I know where you're going with it, Wiles. I like it.
Thank you, Mike. The theory that, I watched them both, and this guy's better, should actually play a role in the discussion of who's better. It's fascinating.
In football.
That we should say, only in football. That it's a football thing. Yes. Okay, I got it. That the guy who can, is more mobile and more arm strength and more diversity of throws, that should not just be about counting the rings. It's a fascinating thing. But in basketball, it's just about counting the rings, which is why everyone has LeBron currently not only behind Michael, but behind Magic, Kareem, and the undisputed, unquestioned GOAT of all GOATs, Bill Russell. Oh, wait, that's what nobody has, because that's not how we do these things. And so, folks, listen. I realized, because everyone was kind of muttering under their breath during my open soliloquy, I heard some laughter, and then it occurred to me while everyone was answering. I happened to be on a show with a rare collection of people who don't acknowledge yet that LeBron passed MJ years ago and that everything since then has been gravy. So you guys are all operating under the assumption that LeBron is still behind Jordan in the race, which that same assumption. Yeah, I get it. No, I didn't know I was working with folks that believe that.
My issue with your take and where you stand with the MJ LeBron debate is that it's black and white for you, and it's not a black and white discussion because MJ and LeBron never played against each other. MJ is considered the greatest of all time. Now LeBron is doing things that we've never seen. So for him to actually surpass MJ, he needs more rings. He needs to continue to score more baskets. He needs to continue on this path that he's on. But when you talk about Tom Brady and Mahomes, this dude has 6 rings and one dude has 1. That's a big difference. Yeah. This discussion is not going to be this gap is not going to be filled within 2 or 3 Super Bowls. This dude got to continue to do this. We're talking about injuries, 100% injury rate, keeping your team together. There's a lot that goes into winning championships and winning in the National Football League. One guy in the NBA could get you to the finals.
No, listen, the gap between 6 rings and 1 is massive. It's a 5-ring gap. Oddly enough, it's the same gap between Jordan and Russell, but nobody cares. But what I just find the whole thing fascinating. I find it to be a fun discussion. I also think deep down, everybody knows in their honest heart of hearts, like LeBron was bigger, stronger, faster, and played against tougher competition. Just like deep down, everybody knows there is literally not a single thing on the football field Tom Brady can do that Mahomes can't. Not one. But there's like a dozen Mahomes can do that, but Brady can't. But we've been told that the whole who actually is better at the sport should be like a tertiary part of who the greatest of all time discussion is. That who's actually better is like.
But at the quarterback position, that's interesting. But does it matter? Does it matter if Patrick Mahomes can throw it, without looking, no look passes? Does it matter that Patrick Mahomes can throw it sidearm? Like, it's about, are you accurate? And both quarterbacks have been accurate. That's what it's about. Are you accurate? Can you make all the throws on the field? And can you win championships? That's what it's about from the quarterback position. So if Patrick Mahomes can continue to win championships, then it's going to be a conversation. But right now, there's too big of a gap for us to even say Patrick Mahomes is in the same ballpark as Tom Brady.
Give it 6 days.
All right, it's settled. We did it. We got through the conversation. Time now to take a trip down Brandon Marshall memory lane. No Pro Bowl yesterday, so throwing it back to 2012 when, Brandon, you had not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 touchdowns, setting a Pro Bowl record and taking home MVP honors. Do you have a favorite memory from that day?
That's a blooper.
Wow. Well, you like that, Nick? 4 touchdowns. That's debatable, too. Nick's going to debate my 4 touchdowns. But the thing that I remember the most is that I came in this game and in pregame, I looked up in the rafters and I saw Michael Irvin, I saw Jerry Rice, and I went to Coach Gary Kubiak, who was our head coach at the time, and I said, Coach, I want to be MVP. So that was orchestrated. Coach was like, all right, if you want to be MVP, then we're going to throw you the ball. So we called a lot of double moves, and we did a lot to get me the ball. So that was the goal going in, Nick. And I know you want to debate my 4 touchdowns.
No, I don't want to debate
but we can do that later.
It's the greatest 3.5 touchdown Pro Bowl performance ever. That one off your foot is a half a touchdown. That one, you don't get a full touchdown for that. It could have been picked. Vic, come on. That's a half a touchdown.
I like it. I'll take it.
All right. Hey, Jared Goff with some parting shots at the Rams on his way out of town. Back to the blockbuster quarterback trade after this. First things first. Back here on First Things First, we're talking about Jared Goff, who's heading to Detroit, marking an end to an up and down stretch with the Rams, and the end to a shaky relationship with his now former head coach Sean McVay, prompting Goff to say this, quote, "I'm just excited to be somewhere that I know wants me and appreciates me." Then he dropped the mic. It's cool, we got our own Mike here, Mike Vick. Mike, what do you take away from Jared Goff's 5-year tenure with the Rams? That was good. Wilds, don't say anything other than that was good, Jenna. Thank you, Wilds.
Okay.
That was, all right, 6 out of 10. Anyway, Mike, what do you make of Jared Goff's 5-year tenure with the Rams?
You know what, Jenna? I thought it was a good run.
Tell me.
I thought it was a good 5 years.
Yeah.
And even,
Oh,
you
the
know,
run?
showing up in the Super Bowl, playing in the Super Bowl, I think that's accomplishing great things for an organization. That's why you come to an organization. That's why you're drafted, in order to put them in a position where they're competing for a championship. And when I look back at Jared Goff's career, I think I envision more good than bad, probably 70% good, 30% bad, because he's played consistent. You know, it's been some ups and downs, and it hasn't always been pretty, but he showed up in the Super Bowl and had a chance to win a championship, and I don't think you could take that for granted. You know, and in terms of his feelings right now, you know, every quarterback wants to be appreciated. You know, you find yourself in positions where it's so much one-on-one interaction with your head coach and your offensive coordinator. When the love is not there and it feels like fake love, then 9 times out of 10 it is. And you just want more for yourself. You know the hard work that you put in. You know what you have to give and what you have to gain. So, you know, if it's a fresh start, and sometimes change is good, some people are afraid to change. In this case, it's not the case for Jared Goff. So I like where he's at. I like he has another opportunity, and we'll see what happens. But it's good that he landed on his feet and in a place where he feel like he's going to be appreciated.
So this to me is very interesting, but not because of Jared Goff. It's interesting because I want to see if it represents a sea change in how NFL teams do business. And Vic and Wilds and Brandon weren't on the show 2 years ago when Jen and I discussed this a lot, but there were a few of us out there saying, I wonder if the Rams don't extend Goff. If they wait and see, if they think it's mostly McVay and the cheap contract, and see if they want to wait and see on Goff. Then they gave him a huge deal, and now they regret it. And so think 2015 draft. The Bucs and the Titans take quarterbacks 1 and 2. Both of those teams decide, you know what? We're going to hold off on extending those guys, make them prove it. The Titans end up getting rid of Mariota. They have Tannehill. They make an AFC championship game. The Bucs let Jameis walk. They bring in Tom Brady. They're in the Super Bowl. The very next year, the draft is the Rams and the Eagles. They extend their quarterbacks after 3 years. Both of the teams had been to a Super Bowl at that point. And now both teams, one has gotten rid of the quarterback, the other wants to. It was a disaster for them. So spin it forward. What does it mean for future quarterback contracts, and will guys get paid early? So I have a fun thing for you, Brandon. It's what we call a blind reveal. I'm going to show you guys' first 3 years of his career. They look very similar for both of them. Year 1, disaster. Year 2, oh, might be something there. The guy on the left was even better year 2. Year 3, 13 wins, 101 rating. That's exciting. One guy got extended. One guy's about to. Show me those 2 players, please. I do wonder how nervous folks in Cleveland or Baltimore, or dare I even say Buffalo, are watching what has happened to Goff, watching what has happened to Wentz, saying, we know we have our guy, we have to pay him early, because it sure looks great. Goff made the Super Bowl. Forget the conference championship game, made the Super Bowl. They paid him, hadn't been the same guy since. So I just wonder how it affects quarterbacks in the future, Brandon.
Yeah, you got to pay Josh Allen. It's hard to find a quarterback that can lead your team. It's hard to find a quarterback that can get the job done. And that's the chance you take. And that's just the cost of doing good business in the National Football League. The National Football League, you got to have 2 things if you want to win a championship. You got to play somewhat of good defense. And if you have a great defense, then you have a really good chance. And you have to have a quarterback. You just absolutely have to. So when you look at that, then you gotta extend Josh Allen. But let me answer the question. So how I look at his career is, whether you like it or not, the dude made 2 Pro Bowls. The dude led his team to a Super Bowl. So the dude can actually get it done. We've seen that. But like we say all the time on this show, ball security is job security, yours and mine.
Job security,
and him not securing that damn ball is the reason why he lost his job. This is that saying in full effect. We're seeing it. So now when you take him to Detroit, and if he can clean up those turnovers, and if he can actually progress and do a good job outside of Sean McVay, then this kid could be sitting here in a couple years in a good position. But I think he has an uphill climb in a battle in Detroit when you look at what they have around him. You have Kenny Golladay, who's a free agent. Hopefully they can keep him here. They need to do some things to shore up that offensive line. They need a lot of help on the defensive side, Wilds.
Mike, I know we got to be quick up here because we're against the break, but I'm fascinated that McVay has skated on any responsibility for Jared Goff's regression. We've seen a lot of other coaches be blamed when quarterbacks don't succeed. We're like, oh, well, Baker's not good. Like, nope, it's actually the coach. Like, Lamar's not doing well. Like, nope, it's Brian Daboll. Like, Jared Goff was good, and now he's not good. And it seems like the world is blaming Jared Goff, and McVay, who's a genius and deserves no criticism for anything, seems to be getting away scot-free. So we'll see how good he is with Stafford.
Yeah, well, you know what? McVay inherited Goff. So he had to deal with him once he got the head coaching job. But I think, in some ways that McVay started to look around the league and the tree that he came from up under, and we can all look that up. But he started to say to himself, I need a dual threat quarterback. I need somebody who's a little bit more mobile. I can do a lot more. And that creative mind that he has, he's starting to think outside the box, and I understand why.
Okay.
All right, so Goff is headed to Detroit. We'll get thoughts on the trade from Danny Amendola, who spent last season with the Lions. That's next. First things first, Michael Vick, thank you as always. Time now for Stories to Start Your Morning, sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve. Let's talk about our top story now, this weekend's blockbuster deal in the NFL. Rams trading Jared Goff to Detroit for Matt Stafford. LA had to include 2 future firsts just to get off Goff's contract, but now we got a fresh start for both these guys. So, Brandon, do the Rams become instant Super Bowl contenders next season with Stafford under center?
Absolutely. Let's look at a few things here. Coaching, do they check the box there? Absolutely. Sean McVay. Defense, you need a good defense if you want to win games consistently in the National Football League. And there's an argument that they have a great defense. When you have Aaron Donald and you have Jalen Ramsey in their prime, maybe entering in their prime, you got to double down. Jared Goff wasn't cutting it, so you get Stafford. We sometimes forget how great Stafford is. He can do it all. We had our guy Amendola on, and that didn't go well, but he was getting into why this dude can go in there and help this team win today. The Rams are always in a win now mode. So that's why they're making this stuff happen. That's why they continue to get away from these first round picks, trade these first round picks away, because they're looking for guys that can come in and help them compete right now. I absolutely love this. And this is where he wanted to be. He has a home in Newport Beach. He went to the team and said, that's where I want to be. I want to be in LA. And they made it happen because he had the power and he leaned into his leverage, Nick. When you think about it, he could easily went to Detroit, and there were some rumblings around. It's like, look, if I don't get what I want, I may just retire and you don't get anything. Because this is a guy at 32. What? He's made a lot of money. He's done a lot in this league. And he was willing to walk away if he didn't get exactly what he wanted. And he did.
So, listen, the Rams are obviously better. Jared Goff is not good. And no matter what you think of Matt Stafford's good. Now, how good is Matt Stafford? That's part of this equation. And how much the Rams continue to put on the credit card where future you is going to have to pay that bill eventually, that's a different part of the equation.
Right.
But let's deal with the first part first. The Rams were going to go into this coming season with the worst quarterback in their division. You can't be in that spot when you've got the best defensive player in the league, the best corner in the league, one of the best coaches in the league. You can't just be handcuffed by your quarterback, so they needed to make a move. So that's why they make this move. And this move in a vacuum, I think makes sense. I think 2 first-round picks to get off Goff and get Stafford is decent value. It's not a huge overpay. But the issue, Wilds, is this is a continuation of a first-round pick for Cooks, 2 first-round picks for Jalen Ramsey, multiple first-round picks to trade up to get Jared Goff, a first-round pick for Todd Gurley, who's not on your team anymore, and now all of a sudden you look back, you're like, wait, the Rams have 2 first-round picks on their team that they drafted. Michael Brockers from a decade ago and Aaron Donald. And they don't have a first-round pick this year, next year, or the year after. And Wilds, that matters not just because that's how you recoup young talent, but because of the cost certainty surrounded with draft picks. Now, they've done very well in the mid-rounds of the draft to fill out the depth of their roster, but it is not an anomaly that one of their stars got hurt and all of a sudden they looked terrible. They have the least depth of any team in the league, and this trade just ensures that that is going to continue to be the case for years to come. So they are the ultimate Super Bowl or bust team. 11-5 and out in the second round of the playoffs is a disappointment for them because you can't say, but brighter days are ahead. Brighter days are not ahead, and that's the bet that Les Snead continues to make.
See, I wonder, when they first got to the Super Bowl, it's like, they mortgaged their future for Jared Goff, and they lost to the Patriots. That was it. But then they found a way to do it again. So maybe they can just, Nick, when you talk about paying off the credit card, maybe they find a way to get another credit card, because it seems like Matthew Stafford is running the Brady playbook that's missing a few chapters. The Brady playbook is cool coach, great defense, great weather. Now the chapters that are missing are the playoffs. Brady went to Tampa with 30 wins. Now he's got 33 playoff wins. Stafford has 0. And Brandon, we heard so much about, it's not just Brady throwing the ball, it's the leadership and the fact that we believe, and it's all the intangibles. That, I don't know if Stafford is inherent, but he has no playoff success. He's got no Super Bowl success.
Right.
So I wonder if we're talking about Super Bowl or bust, what that other factor is. Who's that other leadership? Is it McVay that has to instill them with we can do it mentality?
Hey, I'm gonna jump in quick because I want to bring Danny Amendola back into the conversation. We lost you last segment. Danny, and we'll bring this back up again. We're talking about the big trade from this weekend, Jared Goff, Matt Stafford, and why don't you tell us again what your initial reaction, you spent last season in Detroit. You know Stafford well. Tell me what your reaction was when you heard all this go down over the weekend.
I was surprised, just like anybody else. I knew Matthew kind of wanted to get out of Detroit just because of his circumstance. He didn't really want to necessarily go through a new coaching change and kind of rebuilding point in his career where he's played 12 years and he's probably only got 5-6 years left on his career. So I know he wanted to get to a place where he could, have more of a stable foundation and get things rolling from there. So, I know Matthew's excited for the change. I know he's, his family's excited for the change. And, as my friend, I'm excited for him.
All right, Danny, first off, man, can all that money you made, can you please get some better internet so you don't get cut off our show when you come on, please? And second, let's just be real, man. Don't give me the buttoned up answer. I'm a current football player answer. Give me the raw. Does Matthew Stafford still got it?
100%, man. He's one of the best quarterbacks I've ever been around. Played with a lot of quarterbacks. Played for 6 teams. So, man, that's a lot of quarterbacks. But he's got the arm strength. He's got touch. He's head and shoulders above the rest of the league, and his mechanics, how he operates the team in the huddle, his 2-minute drills, his ability to throw the ball, and you see it there, man. He's a great quarterback.
All right, love it. So the Patriot way, you had an opportunity to obviously spend some time in New England, and that was the Patriot way. Then you went to Detroit, and that was the Patriot way there. What happened in Detroit where this whole Patriot way thing kind of imploded on Matt Patricia?
I felt like the Patriot way in New England when I got there was instilled because they had won Super Bowls. They had been to, countless playoff games and championship games and Super Bowls. They had those banners hanging up in the rafters. So, I don't have that in Detroit. So when you try to implement something that's, you do conditioning after practice every day, you don't say anything in the media and you kind of keep your mouth shut and you do that for a cause of winning the Super Bowl. But at the same time, when that machine hasn't worked in that city and that organization, then it's hard to get guys to buy on. That's why it didn't work.
Danny, I'm curious if you think all of a sudden it could be difficult to get guys to buy on to the Patriot way in New England. Tom's gone. A lot of the guys, such as yourself, who went to Super Bowls with them are gone. I know Julian's still there. Dante Hightower will be back. So it's not like it's a totally new roster. But the majority of those guys don't have the experience of the great successes. So do you think it's going to be harder for Belichick to get them to buy in when Tom's not there and they haven't all experienced the deep playoff runs?
Well, first things first. And when you see Patriot Way in the dictionary, it's going to have Tom Brady's name next to it. None of those coaches threw any passes. None of those coaches caught any passes. None of those coaches made any tackles. They got guys in the right position because they watch a lot of film and they spend all their time at the facility. But Tom Brady is the Patriot way, and that's the reason why Tom Brady's in the Super Bowl right now, and the Patriots aren't.
So elaborate on that if you would, because that's obviously one of the oldest debates in sports. Now that LeBron Michael's been settled, obviously Brady Belichick goes to the top of the list. So so Tom Brady doesn't pick the players. He doesn't coach special teams, doesn't coach defense, but guys who play with him, to a man, and you're now the next person who said it, said, but he does impact everyone. He impacts everyone on the roster. He impacts the culture of the roster. Explain how that's the case.
Because he's created a lifestyle around his play. The minute he walks into the locker room, he not only is the best player in the room, but he demands everybody to play their best too. He brings everybody up in the locker room, and he's a guy that, look at his TB12 method, look at his brand that he's created. Look at when you have a quarterback that has his own training room next to the facility with top-notch
trainers, everybody.
Facilities, trainers. Sorry, my headphones out. Trainers, facilities, and he allows his guys to come in and get that extra treatment to kind of instill in their minds how to create a lifestyle around their game, and it ultimately makes them better. So everything Tom Brady touches turns to gold, and it's true. Honestly, he's a remarkable person.
Love it.
Danny, what are you thinking for the Super Bowl? You've got your old quarterback, Tom Brady, against Nick's, up-and-coming GOAT, Patrick Mahomes. Are you rolling with Brady, or do you see the Chiefs having a shot here?
The Chiefs definitely have a shot. I got, I think they're going to score a lot of points, man. I think, it's going to be two great offenses that are going to go at it. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and whoever has the ball last will probably win.
Hey, Danny, I know you just waxed poetic about all the things that Tom Brady was able to do in New England and how he got everybody to buy into the Patriot way. But now he goes to a new team, a new organization where he doesn't have his hand in every aspect of the cookie jar. Were you a little bit surprised? I know you know how talented he is, but maybe a little surprised that in year one he was able to get this team to the Super Bowl?
You look at the weapons around them. I mean, they got great receivers. They got Antonio Brown midway through the season. They got, Evans. They got Godwin, they got Gronk, they got two great backs, and still they got Shady McCoy, who's call him insurance, but he's one of the best backs in the league still. Tom can operate, he can get everybody in the huddle in the right position, he can gain leverage on each play, and he's obviously a top list guy. So, and they got a lot of athletes around him, and what he can focus on now is just dispersing that ball to all his guys.
To whoever he wants.
Danny,
exactly. All right, time now
I'm
for
sorry, man.
Oh, go ahead, Brandon. Sorry.
Okay. Danny, I'm sorry. Before we jump, I got to get a little messy, man. This is my job full time now. I don't catch any more footballs. I got to ask you, what the hell happened in New England? Like, how do you let Tom Brady go? Like, he should have been a guy that the fans should have told them, all right, it's time to go, Tom. We got to roll you out in a wheelchair. You don't have it anymore. So what happened in New England?
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know if it was mutual. I know Tom was ready for a kind of a change, a little bit of a transition, so to speak. He felt like, Tom Brady was probably one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback of the past 20 years. So, and he took pay cut after pay cut to get other players in the door. And he felt like, that necessarily perhaps he wasn't respected enough in the door when he walked in. So maybe he wanted a little transition. I know I can't speak for Bill, but, he just kind of wanted a little change of pace.
Yeah.
We got it for sure. All right, time now for a segment we call First Rings First. Danny, you got your first ring with the Pats, Super Bowl 49. It was against the Seattle Seahawks. 5 catches, 48 yards, and a touchdown. What was it like winning that first ring?
No, it was the best feeling in the world, and I was getting ready. I knew they were going to give the ball to Marshawn down at the goal line to end the game and go up. I was getting my helmet ready to go out on kickoff return, but they ended up throwing a pass, and it was just a shot of adrenaline when Malcolm Butler picked that ball off. It was an unbelievable feeling.
That's awesome. Hey, Danny Amendola, thank you so much for the time this morning. Really appreciate it. Great insight. Wish you all the best of luck wherever you end up.
And he's a free agent, Jenna.
So, thanks again.
Ring number 2 for Danny can come in Kansas City next year. Need a slot guy. Just keep in mind, I can help you look for houses, Danny. Don't worry about it. Ring number 3. Pardon me. Ring 3. I shorted him a ring.
Everybody corrected him. You did. All right, we got to take a turn back to the NBA now, because anytime the worst team in the league takes out the team many have winning it all, well, here we go. Nets Wizards. Wizards down 5, 7 seconds left. Bradley Beal cut it to 2. Russ off the steal hits the 3 to give Washington the lead. Just an unbelievable sequence here at the end of the game. But Brooklyn still in this. They had one last chance. They just needed a layup. Just to get the layup to go in. It rolls in, it rolls out. That's it. Wizards win. Nets lose. Here's Kevin Durant on yet another defensive collapse for this team.
I think we'll continue to keep getting better, man. I mean, it's a tough one. We gave up 149 points, 108 shots for them. It's not looking great for us defensively, giving up that many points, but I got faith in our team and our guys, and, we're going to start to put it together on both sides of the ball and, continue to keep growing, man. That's all we can do.
Down the stretch, we had that game. It should have been ours. So, we just look at ourselves in the mirror and just see where we can correct as individuals and as a group, just especially on the effort. I couldn't guard a stick today. Those guys were just going right around me, and, I was getting frustrated a little bit, but they kept attacking, and that's what good teams do and good scorers do. So.
All right, Nick. Last night, did it show you that this Brooklyn Nets team cannot be considered title contenders?
Well, when I answered this question 2 hours ago, Jen, I said absolutely they're not title contenders. But Wilds, Brandon, Jenna, everyone check your phone. Woj bomb. Sorry to do this on producers. Very bottom of the screen. Adam Silver announces NBA changing to make it take it format. That's fake Woj, not actually happening. So now they're in trouble. My bad. My apologies. Didn't mean to throw everybody off.
I thought you were about to break some news or something.
I did too. Fake Woj got me. I got to look for the check mark.
Somebody else.
No make it, take it. No title for the Nets. Wilds. They played 22 games.
Yeah, buddy.
Thrice they've held an opponent under 100, or 4 times. Pardon me. 3 times, they've let an opponent score 140. Not 120. 10 times it's 120. 140 points. Oh, okay. What was last night? Last night, the Wizards,
I thought it was overtime. It was regular.
Who were a 3-win team, the Wizards had 101 through 3 quarters, and I was like, oh, that's going to be a bad game for the Nets. And then they scored 48 in the 4th. And Kyrie's like, I couldn't guard a stick. That's a good quote from Kyrie. It also could have been said at any point in his entire basketball life. So I don't think, we've got vintage Ron Artest or Bruce Bowen walking through that door. And I think the Nets' strategy of winning games 135-133 is going to be pretty tough come the postseason. But the Wizards probably won't make the postseason, so that should help them out, Wilds.
Okay, Brandon, I think there's 3 big problems. They all start with P. Here we go. It's pride, paint, and personnel. The first one is pride. And the good news is this is fixable. Steve Nash, after the game, was like, hey, most important thing is individual pride, making every possession count. Means something. I think too many possessions didn't mean enough for us. So, Brandon, that's fixable. That's just an effort thing. Kyrie said it too. Problem number 2 is the paint. This is not great. Wizards scored 72 points. Buddy, it's not great. You got to wake up. You're like the Nets defense. It's not good. You guys got to try a little bit. Number 3, personnel. It's Iman Shumpert, yeah. Norvell Pell. Hey, he had a cup of coffee with the Sixers, the international guy. Also, J.J. Redick. Not only do you get a sharpshooter, you get a free podcast. Not a lot of defense, though. But the pride thing you can fix, Brandon. He's upset. It's a good strategy.
Jenna,
wake
me up in 6 weeks when the NBA season really starts. Wake me up in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, okay. Somebody might score 200 on them by then. If they're not going to try for 6 weeks,
listen,
a good team might score 200.
This is a team that knows how to play a good enough defense to get to the finals. The question is, can we win it? We'll get there.
Keep your faith, Brandon. You keep your faith. We got to go. This conversation continues next on Undisputed. We'll see you tomorrow.